Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me for this broadcast for when students return to the building in the week commencing March the 8th. We're really looking forward to having the students back with us to do some lessons, some physical time with the students in the building, and making sure that we're hopefully covering the curriculum they need as they move forward. So firstly, I want to thank you all so much for your support over this latest lockdown or these national school closures. It's very clear that our relationships with you are really strong, and we've really enjoyed the interaction. And thank you for the support you're giving for students or your own children at home. We appreciate that things are difficult. We hope that you've enjoyed the mix of live lessons and assignment-based learning. Research proves that that's the best way to approach things, so we hope you've all appreciated that. In regards to the students returning, you might have seen some of the government guidance gives an option for staggered return for students. We are going to take that approach, and you'll hear some more from Mr. Smith later about what exactly that looks like. But some of the reasoning behind that staggered approach is because it really supports us with the COVID testing that secondary schools are under the remit to do when they return, to make sure that we're trying to minimise that spread or the risk of infection as we move forward. So that's the reasoning behind it, because otherwise if we had all the students back in one go, that would prove pretty much impossible to do the COVID testing safely and in an organised and safe way. In regards to remote learning that week, you should have already received my communication at the end of last week, just stating what roughly that will look like. And that will be assignment based for those students when they are not on site. So when the first year groups return on Monday, they will be accessing their live lessons in the building and not studying anything to do with online learning. And if your child is at home waiting for their return date to the academy that week, they will access the assignments that have been set by members of staff. And every time a new year group enters the building, all they will be required to focus on is their lessons inside the building, nothing to do with remote education. So again, you'll hear more details about that later and how that will work. Just in regards to operational or logistical or practical elements of students returning, we're adopting the same approach that we did when students returned to us after the last national lockdown. So the return to school booklet, which is on the Academy website, that remains the same. Some of the extra provision or protocols we put in place will be explained by Mr. Smith, but they're just additional extras. We didn't want to bombard you with too much communication and extra information when it's just normal practice. So just keep an eye on where to return and how to return on the information that follows soon. Now, each day when a year group returns on their designated day, the first 3 lessons will be focused around English and personal development. And we've made that decision because we are able to differentiate and focus on a lot more broader aspects for English. So they'll focus on an English literature and an English language based lesson. And also they'll focus on a personal development lesson, which is really important in this current climate, and making sure that we're addressing mental health and well-being, making sure students can remember where to go to if they've got any concerns, and just reiterating the support and the student care that's in the building as well. Some of the extras in regards to masks. Now, again, masks is a complex issue. I've already had some really nice positive communications over the weekend in regards to some people concerned about wearing masks too much in the school building, some really wanting that every single minute of the day, which I appreciate both perspectives on that. So you'll see what we're going to say in regards to guidance, and that will come from Mr. Smith, but wherever possible and wherever in the building, inside the building, we are expecting students to wear masks. Now, if there's any personal circumstances or objections to that, you need to alert the student care team, so we're all aware of those individual circumstances. And on that front, the seating plans that teachers are going to put in place, they'll become really important as well. So making sure that students sit in exactly the right places. So if we need to go back and look at close contacts, if there are any positive cases that are confirmed by the testing, both in school and out of school, we're able to track those close contacts, and it minimises the risk of having to shut a whole year group of all down for that. So it is wearing masks at all times, unless you have any objections around that and you need to contact the student care about that, a team about that. So areas of transition from the buses into the school building, areas of transition around the faculty pods, and also in lessons. So that's the additional wearing masks in lessons where parents want that to happen. Okay, so I hope that clarifies, but there'll be more information moving up towards that. Year 11s and 13s, you'll be totally aware that teacher assessment grades are now been confirmed. We're going to start to gather evidence. We've already got some evidence in regards to what work students have completed, whether that's assignments, whether that's mock exams, or whether it's any other formative or summative assessments. And we will continue to build up that bank of evidence, so we've got a really good picture of what grades we're going to submit for students. So keep working really hard, year 11s and 13s. Keep making sure that you're really on board with what assessment's coming next, because we'll still keep on trying to get that evidence to get you your maximum grades possible. We just need you to work with us, but you'll be guided through all that. So don't panic, but just know when certain types of revision or certain topics for assessments are coming up, and keep really well informed about that. Some of you have already been inquiring about homework and session 6 and what that's going to look like. We are going to start to put back what we were before the lockdown in regards to homework and session 6s for extra academic catch-up or enrichment catch-up as well. I'm of the viewpoint that the academic, of course, that's important, but we need to look at what enrichment and wellbeing activities we can offer after school as well as we move forward, to try and get students that smooth transition back, giving them the confidence, making them feel that they are making progress in different areas, not just academic. So keep an eye out for what the homework announcements are and session 6 as that comes from different leaders within the school building. Testing, you've hopefully already seen my notification about testing. We do need consent from you as parents and carers to perform that test. However, that doesn't stop students being able to come back in the building if you do not consent to testing. Now, there's obviously an element of civic duty. That is a national strategy of what we're doing, so we'd appreciate as many consent forms as possible, just so that we know who's going to be running through our testing when they return for the first week or two in this term. Once that's done, then we'll alert you how the testing will move forward in the coming terms and weeks as we move forward, and as also Public Health England or DfE guidance or advice changes. The final one from me, if you've got any questions or queries, please contact us either on the inquiries email. Again, you can find that on the website, or there's a COVID email that I've already communicated with you previously, or the student care team, or even your tutor. Just ask any question. No question is a silly question, and it's really important that everybody has all the information and you have confidence coming back into the building about the do's and the don'ts, and also what's going on with certain COVID-19 protocols. Okay, so that's it. You're going to hear from Mr. Smith and also Mrs. Pryor about some of the teaching and learning elements, so hopefully that will support you as we move forward. I'll reiterate my first message. We cannot wait to have the students back in the building, and I hope you as parents and carers are looking forward to that as well. I'm sure some of you are for different reasons, but also the students, I hope you're looking forward to seeing us as much as we're looking forward to seeing you. All right, so that's it from me. I will be speaking or giving you some more communication in the near future. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Mr. Smith, and thank you for listening to my part of the broadcast, where I'll be giving you some key messages about your return to the academy. As Mr. Underwood has already mentioned, we will be using a staggered approach to students returning to the academy. Years 11, 12 and 13 will return to the academy on Monday the 8th of March. Year 10 students will return to the academy on Tuesday the 9th of March. Year 9 students will return to the academy on Wednesday the 10th of March. Year 8 students will return to the academy on Thursday the 11th of March. And finally, Year 7 students will return to the academy on Friday the 12th of March. All dedicated school transport services will resume as normal to ensure that all students are able to return to the academy from the 8th of March. The expectations when waiting at the bus stop and travelling on the buses remains the same as before we broke up. You must continue to wear face coverings while you travel on your bus services and while you wait at the bus stop in the morning and at the end of the day. You must also continue to follow all social distancing measures that have been put in place by the bus companies. This means you must continue to sit in your year group zones on the buses and maintain social distances between other students where possible. When you arrive at the academy, it is important you remember which external faculty doors you need to enter through. Nothing has changed in this area, and you should enter through the external faculty doors you did before we went into lockdown. Just as a reminder, Year 7 should enter through the MATE doors, Year 8 through the comms, Year 9 through BHE, Year 10 through AMID, and Year 11 through PNS. All Year 12 and 13 students should continue to enter through the external restaurant doors. I'm going to talk to you now about the structure of your first day. There are some slight changes to the activities that you'll be doing. However, the structure of the day and the lesson times remains the same. When you enter your faculty, you'll be met by your tutors and your head of year. You must go straight to your designated tutor room. If you struggle to remember what room that is, please ask your head of year or look out for your tutor and look for what room they're stood by. The differences and the changes to activities come in your period 1, 2 and 3 lessons. During those 3 lessons, you're going to be with your tutor group. However, you will have different teachers from your normal timetabled lessons. If you're in Key Stage 4, Year 10 and 11, during Session 1 you will have an English language lesson. During Session 2 you will have an English literature lesson. Period 3 will be a personal development lesson. If you're in Key Stage 3, your Period 1 lesson will be an English reading lesson. Your Period 2 will be an English writing, and Period 3 personal development. Key Stage 4 and Key Stage 3 will both have a reminder of our return to school expectations delivered to you during your tutor time session. Your Period 4 and 5 sessions will remain the same, and your lunch slots will remain the same. The only changes to the academy day are the activities at the start during Period 1, 2 and 3. Lots of your parents will have consented for you to have a Covid-19 lateral flow test at the Corby Business Academy Testing Centre. If you have been given consent to have a test, your head of year and SLT link will collect you from your faculty area before you go to your tutor room. Students will be taken to a computer room so they can register for their test. There will be a step-by-step guide given to each student to support them registering for their test. You'll be given a registration card which has your unique barcode number on it. There's some other important information that you'll need to know to register for your test. These are shown below. You'll need to know the first line of your home address, the postcode of your home address, your email address, and your mobile phone number. If you haven't got a mobile phone number, your parents' mobile phone number can be used. I'm now going to talk you through how the process will work for you having your COVID-19 test in the Corby Business Academy Testing Centre. Once you have registered, you and the rest of your year group will be walked down to the small lecture theatre by a member of SLT. You will remain seated in the small lecture theatre until you are invited into the main theatre, 5 students at a time. When you enter the main theatre, you will be greeted by our registration assistants. The registration assistant will check your registration card and unique barcode number before inviting you to take a seat in our waiting area. In the waiting area, there will be a video which shows you the correct processes to swab for a correct COVID-19 test. When the test assistants are ready, they will invite you 1 student at a time to one of our testing desks. Here, you will be supported and guided through the testing process to make sure you have swabbed correctly. Once you have completed your test, you will return to the small lecture theatre and wait for the result of your test. If your test is negative, you will be able to rejoin your tutor group and continue with the activities for the rest of the morning. If your test is positive, you will be taken to a COVID-19 waiting room and your parents and carers will be called to collect you. Further guidance on shielding and isolation times will be given on collection. As you may be aware, students who have consented to have a COVID-19 test will need to have 3 tests at the on-site testing centre at Corby Business Academy before they are eligible to receive the home testing kits. This slide shows a rough schedule for which cohorts of students will be tested on each day. As I've said, that this is a rough guide, and where possible, some cohorts of students might be brought forward if we have been able to process all of the scheduled tests for that day, and we are able to complete more before the end of the day. This slide is a simple reminder for students about when and what time their breaks will be at. Break time A is at 10:40 to 11:05, and the students who are on break A are the sixth form, AMID students and PNS students. The slots where these students will be able to go to the restaurant to collect their food are for the sixth form at 10:40 to 10:48, AMID students at 10:48 to 10:56, and PNS students at 10:56 to 11:05. Break time B is at 11:05 to 11:30, and this is for students that are in the MATE, Comms and BHE faculties. MATE students can go to the restaurant to get their breakfast at 11:05 to 11:13, Comms students from 11:13 to 11:21, and BHE students at 11:21 to 11:30. This slide will remind you about the lunch slots and the designated times for year groups to go to the restaurant. Lunchtime A is for MATE students and sixth form students. Students in MATE can go to the restaurant at 12:30 till 12:45. Sixth form students will be able to go to the restaurant to get their food at 12:45 to 1 o'clock. Lunch slot B is for AMID students and PNS students. AMID students can go to the restaurant between 1 and 1:15. PNS students can go to the restaurant between 1:15 and 1:30. Lunch slot C is for students in BHE and Comms. The BHE students can go to the restaurant at 1:30 to 1:45, and Comms students to the restaurant between 1:45 and 2 o'clock. The next two slides will inform you of our approach and expectations on face coverings whilst at Corby Business Academy. Students will still be expected to wear face coverings in all communal areas. This expectation has not changed since we were last in the academy. Students must still wear their face coverings on public transport and dedicated school transport on the way to and from school. Again, this has not changed since you were last in school. When you arrive at the academy, you will still be expected to continue wearing your face mask as you enter the building. Whilst moving around the faculty and transitioning between lessons, you will be expected to wear your face covering. Also, while transitioning between your faculty to the restaurant to collect your break or lunch, you will be expected to wear your face covering. While you are eating inside one of the classrooms, you will be allowed to remove your face covering to eat. The expectation to wear face coverings in lesson is not compulsory. However, it is something that we strongly recommend that students do, especially as some of our classroom layouts are unable to cater for students to socially distance. We feel that wearing face coverings will help reduce the transmission of COVID-19 between students. Students will be questioned about wearing face coverings in lessons, however, they will not be challenged. It's important to remember that this use of face coverings is a national strategy used to promote the reduction in transmission of COVID-19. Thank you for listening to my element of the broadcast. The final message for me is just to say how excited we are to have you all returning back to the Academy. We look forward to seeing you next week. Goodbye.
Hello everybody, this is Mrs. Pryor and I'm going to talk to you about returning to classroom learning. You have been doing an absolutely fantastic job of approaching learning online, completing your assignments and working with your teachers in your online lessons. But we're now going to move back to the classroom from the week commencing the 8th of March, and it's really important that we take you through some of the basic things that you can expect from your classroom and what we expect from you if we are to make the most of this transition in our learning. And that's exactly what it is. It's a transition. And sometimes transitions can be scary and they can be different, but we don't need to worry because you are absolutely practiced in this. Okay, you transitioned when you started school and you began to learn in different ways. And you did that again when you moved from primary school up to secondary school, where learning changed and was different. You do that when you transfer through key stages, if you've moved from year 9 into year 10, for example, or you've moved from year 6 into year 7. And you did it brilliantly in January when you transitioned from learning with us in school at the end of term 2 to learning by yourself and then in the virtual classroom through remote learning. You have made so many transitions. June 2020, September 2020 and March 2021 is the one that's approaching now. So we have lots of experience of this and we're going to work together to make sure it's a nice, smooth transition back to learning, which we know is the best way in the classroom with your teachers. So what will your first day of learning look like? On the day that you are due to return to the academy, you will be working with your form group for lessons 1 to 3 in your tutor base. We have created a programme of learning to help you adjust to coming back to school and help you get the most out of your full curriculum timetable. This learning in this programme will focus on the key literacy, communication skills and English knowledge that underpin success in all of your subjects. We have combined this with key concepts from your personal development curriculum, and this will help you manage the personal challenges of the return to school. We understand it's been a tough time for you all, and we need you to know that we are always here to help you and support you in that way. You will have a range of resources to access, support from your teachers, and a return to school work booklet to complete in this time. Once lessons 1 to 3 are complete, you will move into period 4 and 5, and then for the remainder of the week and onwards into your normal school timetable. And that will allow you to access your full curriculum. Lessons will have a common focus, which we're going to go through now, for getting everybody ready to keep building and progressing in your learning. So there will be specific things that you should expect. Our approach for the return to school learning follows these 3 M's. Mapping the key skills and knowledge that all students need in each subject. Mastering what we've taught so far this year and in the remote classroom before we're ready to move on together. So, what does that really look like in weeks 1 and 2? Your teachers have looked at their learning plans, the work covered remotely, and what's coming next. They are all planning consolidation lessons to secure and develop your knowledge and skills that you've developed throughout the year. You are then going to spend 2 weeks mastering this content, really feeling confident and capable with it. And your teachers will be working with you to check, can you recall the right information? Are you able to apply that information in written form, in diagrams, in answers? Can you apply it in different contexts and over a series of different tasks so that we know that knowledge and skill is really, really secure? And do you have all of the knowledge that's needed to access the next step in your learning. So the 2 weeks of activities, you are going to be mastering and commanding the key elements of your subjects so that you're ready to move on to the next phase. And by moving on, your teachers will be giving you feedback on the work that you've done in that 2-week period to show you exactly what it is that you need to be working on and developing to take the next step in the planned journey for all of your subjects. So what might that look like in the classroom then? Here are the 6 learning segments that your teachers use in all of your lessons to plan and sequence your learning to make sure all the key elements are there. And the next 2 weeks are really going to be focused in on this segment: retrieve, embed, refine, testing what you know and working with you to refine that knowledge and make it really, really clear and accessible so that you can use it as you move forward. So in a typical lesson, it might look something like this. You might be asked to complete a short quiz on a topic you've studied, either during lockdown or before, and then you might mark it as a class as your starter activity. You might capture a collective brain dump, a big brainstorm on the board of all of the aspects of your learning that you've covered on a particular topic or on a particular skill. You might be asked to identify misconceptions or errors in a response that you've already previously tried or already previously engaged with. You might then, the learning might show you further examples of this knowledge that you've acquired in reading, diagrams or other contexts. Your teacher might support you to apply your learning to an extended answer or a series of extended answers, moving on from the shorter responses earlier in a lesson. Your teacher might be encouraging you to discuss ideas in paired work, group work or whole class discussion to further examine some of the key concepts that you've covered and explore them in more detail. Your teacher then might provide you with personalised tasks to help you improve on some of the areas that you might still be struggling with. They might ask you to answer questions about your thinking and about your answers, and they might allow you to compare your work to exemplars and improve it further. So really, each of those boxes look at those things, retrieving that information, securing it and embedding it in our long-term memory so we can use it whenever we need to, and refining it and developing it and always making it better. So finally, what is it that you need to focus on in your learning as you return to school? Well, firstly, it's those learning behaviours, those habits, that conduct within the classroom that's going to allow you to get the most out of what your teachers have planned for you. So using each of the kind of climates that you can see in this table here of teacher instruction, purposeful discussion, and then that silent focused work to show off what you can do is really important. And then considering these 3 things. This is a period of building on and developing what you know. So actively do that. We will start with things that you are familiar with. This is not repeating learning, but securing it and making it stick before we start something new. We really need you to actively participate in these lessons. This is one of the things that we've really missed as teachers during this period of remote learning, with lots of silence and lots of typing and chat bar questions. We now really want to hear your voices. Listen, discuss, clarify and question, and use that talk to further your understanding. Use your teachers, the resources and the opportunities to gain a deeper knowledge and understanding of your topics and concepts, and that will help you feel far more ready to take the next step. And finally, respond to the feedback from your teachers. We know that feedback is in everything your teacher does in that classroom, every response to the question, everything that they write on the board, anything that's in those PowerPoint slides, okay? It's going to be there, and please use it and respond to it. So finally from me, we've been very used to seeing screens like this, and I can only praise you. It was something that was new to us all, and you have done absolutely brilliantly to continue and maintain that progress and engage with all of the learning plans that we had for you. But we cannot wait for classrooms to look like this again. Okay, hands up, discussion, interaction, engagement. We very much look forward to welcoming you back next week.